There's a lot of chatter about Steve Staios maybe wanting to make a bigger move. Aside from the names around this deadline, Chychrun, Tarasenko, etc., is there a more of a core player on the Sens CJ doesn't see on the opening day roster next year?
Brady Tkachuk's going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what the question?
He'll be
there, yeah.
Well, I don't know. There was recently some rumor that just, as far as I can tell, was like totally off base.
Mm-hmm.
Norris,
Pinto.
I think those guys are there.
Yeah.
By the way, the Chychrun rumors, according to Dreger this morning, have picked up, as in like there could be something this week.
Yeah, and it makes sense, right? Because you've seen some D come off the market, and then everyone's like, okay, we can spend a third for this player, or maybe just a first for Jacob Chychrun, who's younger and is signed for one more year. You know, I think Chychrun will move, and only because you have Sanderson and Shabbat signed already on the left side for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you going to, you can't pay Chychrun more than what he makes now. I don't see them making a core shaking move. I mean, they have to get the goaltending figured out.
Right.
Like let's real talk about the Senators.
It's the goaltending's bad.
Like I know they signed Korpisalo as sort of like a name free agent last year, but that hasn't worked. And you know, I do think that Staios, you know, he wants to bring in more veteran type of players. I think he wants a little more leadership, whatever you want to call that. Some of the intangibles, maybe.
Mm-hmm. That's what Tarasenko and Giroux were supposed to be, right? Giroux's worked out great for them, but Tarasenko hasn't.
And you've heard no talk about Giroux being traded at this deadline because of that reason. I think that he likes it there and they like him. But I don't think they're going to do anything from the absolute core guys. Like Stützle's back, you know, Tkachuk's back, Sanderson will be there. I think Shabbat will be there. Chychrun is the play, I think. And then obviously just adding to the group. I mean, if they ship Tarasenko out, if they ship Kubalik out, you know, Hamnick will be done. Like there's going to be room to turn over parts of the roster to affect that change. And then they need a better start. I mean, this season was a total gong show.
Yeah. We talked briefly before the show about how much of a failure the DeBrincat and Chychrun trades for Ottawa could end up being, and that you go and you try to acquire somebody and then you end up losing the deal in the end by making another deal early on those two guys.
Yeah. You overpaid initially and then
Yeah.
Do not reflect well on the end of the previous regime's era.
Yeah, I think those are pure Dorian problems.
But this is funny. Someone who works for an NHL team pointed this out to me the other day. Is like the problem with the deadline is you trade a first for one of these players that gives you 20 odd games and then, you know, goes to free agency, or you hold on to your first and you trade it for Alex DeBrincat, which is what essentially it cost Detroit to bring in. And they dumped Kubalik's contract in that deal. Or he's like, you know, you trade a second for these guys, you think no big deal, or you hold on to it and you get Devon Toews for 2 seconds, which is what Colorado got him for.
Which is crazy.
And the point being is that like the prices now are ludicrous. And it's weird that GMs are used to paying the price in this window. And then some of them are like scared to pay it other times of the year.
Yes.
They're the same picks.
Right.
It's the same asset. It's just like it's viewed differently.
It's in June as opposed to March.
Right.
But this guy works for a team that is going to make a deal at this deadline and probably a pretty big one. And he was sort of saying like, we're stupid to do this, but like, this is the game we play. Like this is
also you get visions of the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
You start to think we could.
Yeah. And you've got an owner.
Yeah.
Who's like, what's going on, guys? What are you doing? It's hard to be
especially Andlauer. He's not a guy that's
right. And I'm not talking about Ottawa is not the example I'm using here. I'm just pivoting off the question, but I do think that it's kind of a crazy time of year.
Yeah.
And you think they get goaltending this summer?
They have to.
Well, you got Forsberg and Korpisalo locked up already to about $6.75 million. So one of those guys.
Welcome to the league, Steve Staios.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. I think you're stuck with Korpisalo till he can figure it out.
You know, where Ottawa has failed in these last number of years is they made poor decisions around their core guys. They did a great job drafting. They've identified these players. They've got them signed to, I think, you know, reasonable, smart contracts.
Yeah, great contracts.
But they didn't make good decisions on the fringes of the roster, and they mismanaged their assets. And so I just that you have to start getting some wins there.
Mm-hmm. Getting Tarasenko for me, this like. You know, the gambling thing aside, Shane Pinto should have been in the lineup, and they didn't need Tarasenko.
Right.
Like, it was sort of like, just build the team.
And Pinto and Tarasenko fell into their lap, right?
Yeah.
Like, You don't need to be an insider to conclude that he didn't want to sign in Ottawa on a 1-year, $5 million deal on like August, whatever day he signed it.
It
like,
just was what was left.
That was musical chairs, and the music stopped, and he's like, Canada, here we go.
He's had a good year though. I mean,
honestly, he's a strong asset. I think he's like kind of under discussed when it comes to the trade deadline, rental additions. Like I think there's a fair amount of demand for him.
Jesse, next question.
We got a question from Kraken Canada.
What's up?
The Canadian Seattle Kraken fan base Twitter account. Which team do you expect to overpay the most this week for a player?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah. Somebody who's got to be like really going for it and say
Vancouver.
Yeah.
Vancouver.
Maximum chaos. I love that. And they shouldn't they?
They should, yeah. And look at overpaying. That's not a criticism.
No.
Like often the GM or the front office that overpays knows they're overpaying.
Yes.
It's a conscious decision. Like we haven't been in the playoffs in a number of years. We've had this season. We got to give our guys the best chance. I could see Vancouver with Gensel or something like that. If they come out on top there, that could make a lot of sense. Wow. Edmonton, I would put in the same mix, or Vegas, because those are three teams that could be. First of all, they're sort of got to go through each other in some version to get to where they want to go to, and then they're all kind of competing for top six forwards.
Yeah. So Edmonton, could Gensel land in Edmonton? By the way,
yes.
That is scary. That's scary. Like what? Like I don't.
I think Edmonton. Keep an eye on them with Toffoli too.
Which would be another great pick.
Yeah, they need one more forward. Why not go get the best one?
Yeah,
the best one available.
Yeah, if you're Edmonton, this is the year. I wondered about Toffoli back to Vancouver too, because it did work out really well there for the short time he was there.
It did, and I think Edmonton's one of the teams that really like him. Now, the Devils haven't fully committed to selling him, but I mean, look, they just had a tough run through California. They can look at the same standings we can look at and come to conclusions. But I think that if they get a first round pick, it's going to be hard to say no to that for a player they like. They might sign him back as a free agent. I mean, that happens from time to time. Like he liked it there, and it's not his fault that they are where they are. I think he scored more than 25 goals already this season. Like he's doing his job. Like that's what they acquired him to do. But it's been a weird year in New Jersey. They had lots of injuries and just looks like time's going to run out.
It seems like the Buffaloes and the New Jerseys had bad luck injury years, and that just happens.
Yeah, I'm willing to especially say that for New Jersey.
Yeah. I don't think Buffalo was as good as we thought they were. I think there's still a lot of deficiencies with that line, with that roster.
It would appear so.
Yeah.
Certainly no depth.
Yes.
Nobody to hold the fort while the big guys, when they go down.
Yeah. I want one more question, then we'll let you go, because I know it's been a long time, CJ.
Yeah, you had a long day.
This is from Nick Iganoff, who asked, does Chris...
Ignativ.
Ignativ?
Not off. Yeah.
Does Chris agree with Adam Wilde that Shanny might be done if this season ends in the first round again?
No. I mean, sorry. I'm far less certain as you seem to be. I will say this. I mean, let's just look at the facts as they are. The Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment is bringing in new leadership, Keith Pelly, and we're several years into the Shanna plan, and there's a lot of pressure on everyone in the Leafs organization to win. But I don't think he's at the tip of the spear right now. But I'm not gonna look at Adam has sources too. I can only go on what I know. So I don't think they're playing for Shanny's job. But it's very clear that the job conditions, the working conditions are going to change. Anytime you get a new boss, it can be stressful.
But it's not, we shouldn't look at it necessarily as job on the line playoff series for Shanny.
Well, I mean,
in your eyes.
Sorry, just wait. If they get to the second round and lose in 5 games like they did last year, is that progress? Like, I don't know. I guess I don't know what that threshold is. I think that he's going to be under new scrutiny, though, because there's a new person evaluating his job performance. And, I think that there's some question just around where this team goes in general, right? I mean, this is as much as we were kind of excusing Kyle Dubas for some of where Pittsburgh is. I mean, Brad Treliving was thrown into a similar situation in Toronto. He gets a chance now to take a fresh look at the roster. He's got a big decision on Mitch Marner's contract extension coming after the year. I just think change happens in sports if you don't win. So,
and I think that new perspective of the new president CEO is something that could lead to a lot of chaos within the organization. It's not usually stable if a new guy comes in. It's not usually just business as usual.
Well, and I'll say what's interesting is under Michael Frisdale, who had previously run MLC, I know he left a couple years ago and the team was being run on an interim basis, but he didn't want to be public in any way. So the bosses, like the Brendan Shanahans or the Masai Ujiri on the basketball side, they were kind of the final word on the team, right? They controlled the apps. Like when they spoke, that was the highest level you're ever going to get someone in front of a microphone or a set of cameras. I think that's going to be different now. And so that changes the whole dynamic of leadership, of messaging, of where the pressure lies. It's going to be, I just think it's going to be interesting no matter what happens. The Leafs could win the cup, and I still might say like this, let's watch and see how this all develops. Like I don't know how that will suit Brendan Shanahan. I don't think it. You remember like what it was like when what was the guy's name? Help me out. Lewicki.
Yes.
Yep.
Like he came in and put everyone on notice, right?
Yep.
He's like, yeah, I got a parade route.
Yeah. He was a bull in a china shop. Like he did everything every day.
But
I liked him a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was challenging everyone that works under him, and he was making sure no one was too comfortable. And so I don't know what leadership style that Keith Pelley's going to adopt here, but it's definitely going to change Brendan Shanahan's day-to-day job, just as it will, anyone else in senior management on the Raptors side, the same deal. So I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not sure it's so absolute, I guess.
This is what's clear. The board loves Shanny. How much time does he get? I think that's my main point here. And I'll say this, having worked for both the major telecoms that own this team, they're not patient. These are not patient organizations. They want now. And I think specifically, you look at something like Rogers, and this is just the business aspect of it. When the Jays went on those runs under Anthopoulos, funny that we bring that up, in 15 and 16, I guess 15 was under Anthopoulos. The Anthopoulos team was still playing in 16.
I give a AA all the credit for that 2016 team.
Yeah.
I don't care how anybody wants to phrase it.
And they could have won a World Series in 50.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely. If David Price had been better in the playoffs, I think they do. He was great in the regular season, but he's not a playoff pitcher. I know the stock price for Rogers kept going up and up and up, and it was just they only could attribute it to the Blue Jays.
Do you know how many tickets I bought those years?
Oh, and crazy amounts.
I spent
too.
stupid amounts of money.
I remember spending $600 to go to a game because I was like, I have to be there.
I was
and
at
I don't
the bat
regret
flip
it.
game.
You were at the bat flip game
In the
so
crowd.
my wife, my new wife, is at the was at the bat flip game too. She said I was scared. She's like, I was scared. Like I thought there was going to be.
It was a top 3 sports memory for me ever, like of a building I've been in. And I've been getting paid to go to Olympics and Cup finals and all this. I've been at the Masters. I've covered the British Open at St. Andrews. Like I've been lucky to do everything.
You go to the Masters
3 times.
He's eating the sandwiches
Jesus
at the
Christ, I
Masters.
didn't know that.
Oh my God.
The egg sandwich.
I ate so many sandwiches.
And aren't they like $3 because they keep the price?
Yeah, but when you're a media guy, they're free.
That's so cool.
This is old school because I went in 2006, 2007, and 2008. So this might have changed because I know they actually built a new press center. But at the time too, they just had like a beer tap and you could just pour yourself a beer in the media room.
Cool.
Now again, it's a new era. Maybe I'm referencing like something like from grandfather time, but that still existed when I covered the Masters.
And you were like, that's the thing. You were a golf reporter for a long time. People don't know that.
Yeah, and I love golf.
Yeah.
Do you know what? This one of the cool moments. 2005 British Open is at St. Andrews. I mean, St. Andrews. First off, you can it's like going to the Vatican if you're Catholic, and I'm not Catholic. Like it's so cool. Like it's just such a neat town. Like the 18th green is 200 feet from the best bar in town. Like literally it's in the town. Anyway, so Jack Nicklaus, was the last professional major he played. And it's the Friday afternoon and he's coming up 18. And so like literally he's in the town. So like there's just thousands and thousands of people. And he goes up there and he has a putt for birdie on the 18th and he makes it. So he birdies his last ever professional hole. And he comes in the media room and he said, I knew the hole would move wherever I hit that putt.
What a line.
And I'm like,
goodness.
What a legend. Like do you know how many hours of press conferences I've sat through since? And I still remember that because I was like, that was so cool.
That is amazing.
And do you know what? All the journalists lined up after his press conference to get their badges signed by him. And I didn't do it because it's like such a professional faux pas. And I kind of regret it.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you regret it?
Yeah.
But I was a young reporter and I wanted to be taken seriously.
Yeah, no, I get it.
and
I get it.
but I was like maybe a little too rigid.
Yeah.
I would. I don't keep a lot of mementos or anything, but I would have my Jack Nicklaus sign British show. Anyway,
That's
sorry,
yeah.
I'm all over the
No,
place.
but I want to ask you, the bad flip game. Just want to, because Jesse was at the Kawhi shot game.
I was at Kawhi shot, yeah,
Ooh.
and Edwin walk off against the Orioles. Those
Yeah, that was
are my
great.
best
So
Toronto memories. Yeah,
from what I have heard from everybody that was at the bad flip game, it got scary. Like,
Yeah,
it was
because
very dark.
people were like frothing at the mouth and throwing beers on the field, and
Yeah. And then when he hits that home run, there's this gigantic snap, like release. And anybody that's been, like, I was the best one I've been to, and no one remembers this game, but I do. Gary Roberts triple overtime against the Senators. I was there.
I remember.
It was amazing. The snap of the energy that goes through the building when something like that happens.
Playoff
is crazy.
overtime, bud.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's the best drug in the world.
What did the Batista, like, what do you remember doing? How do you remember reacting?
I like literally was stone sober, and you just feel like you're like inebriated. Like just the rush of all the emotions and everything. It was a 4 p.m. first pitch.
Mm-hmm.
I was supposed to go out to dinner after the game because, I think it's ending at 7. I just was so emotionally distressed. I like could barely stumble back to my condo. I remember buying a burrito, like a takeout burrito, to just like go home and be on my couch and just like watch the highlights and eat my burrito. It was amazing. The Crosby golden goal is my number one.
Oh, yeah. Steve was there for that too.
That was like, I don't think I'll ever feel something like that again. Like from sports or whatever, you know what I mean? Like that was,
it was pretty special.
Just the whole build up to it, the way it was amazing. I'm sure like Canadians that even weren't there couldn't understand.
I remember what bar I was in.
The joy of, or just like the release of that. Like Canada had to win, right? Like
they almost didn't.
Right. Well, but that was almost like they won. It was almost like relief, right? It wasn't necessarily enthusiasm because they just couldn't screw it up. And then, of course, it's Crosby that scores the goal. And it was really dramatic. It was an awesome hockey game, too.
Yes, it was. Yeah. Okay.